Let's see. Good evening, y'all. I'll give everyone a few minutes to come in.
Y'all. I'll give everyone a few minutes.
I was echoing. I fixed that. I don't seem to have any sound. Hi, someone somewhere. I'm trying to figure out why I don't have any sound. Good evening, John DeNicola. Oh my goodness. Oh, I do have sound? Okay. That's good to know. I think we have a pretty good topic tonight. And I did post the StreamYard link. So anyone who wants to join in the conversation, I welcome y'all. I did send a couple people some messages if they want to come in. I had some inspiration for this conversation tonight. I've been on the 10th Amendment channel and left a comment and had some response to that. So I think that I'm not the only one out here that thinks we all have a part in what's going on. How has everybody been doing? Exactly, someone somewhere. And I'm sick and tired of the pointing of fingers. Cops are not the only ones just following orders, right? They're in the public view, but it's us as well that are following orders. I like the way this guy put it in his comment. Pencil can write and be erased. We're just following all this dorkiness. Why? Because we're told to. Of course, not everybody does it, but the majority does. Hold on, I have a dog that wants in the house now. He wanted out, now he wants back in. Give me a second. Get in here, you goofball. Keeper's a bit of a pest sometimes, not always. I love him more often than I get irritated with him. Hi, Joko. Good to see you. So yeah, if we're expecting the cops not to just follow orders or public officials, or as they call themselves, that brings to mind, why do we call them officials whenever they gave themselves this platform to control? You know, I really get irritated when I say those things because my mind immediately goes, oh no, not again, because it's something we hear all the time. Oh yeah, they don't care. And that's the whole thing. Someone somewhere, they don't care. I mean, really pay close attention. They don't People bring up color, they bring up nationalities and our heritage and all this stuff. It's just, it's like throwing paint at a wall and having all this mixed up coloration, right? It's nonsense. In my opinion, it is pure nonsense. Hi, Jerry. Good to see you. Um, the person that inspired me today um, brought some things up, which reminded me of my childhood. And in that, I'm going to go back and take all of us back with me. When we were children, we knew right from wrong. If we did something wrong, we knew because if it got found out, parents found out, right, we'd be in trouble, that kind of thing, or a teacher or somebody, they'd correct us. Being I'm nearly 60, things were different in my time from maybe yours if you're younger, because things constantly change. But there was a cop when I was 15 who, in my opinion, was a good cop. Do I agree with what all cops do? No, I don't. But this one was a good cop. And I'm going to start out by sharing that story with y'all. My my dad was very well, he wasn't when I was really young, he wasn't abusive that I recall. Not until he remarried and his wife and her mother were real sadistic people. And he kind of got sucked into all that. And we were not allowed to tell him things that they did. So that kept us quiet because, he told us we couldn't basically tell on her. And that was what she wanted. So behind his back, she did a lot of things. Well, anyways, my dad got upset with me one day, and I had made a comment, was not going to refer to her as my mom. Well, anyways, we got into it. And my dad had done some things, beat me. Cops carried me out of the house. I've told a few of y'all this. And the one time I spent at the police department for a few weeks healing up after a beating. But that wasn't what was important. And that's not what this is about. What it's about is I could not respond. I was beat that bad. I couldn't respond. I couldn't speak. I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't move. I could hear. I could feel. But I couldn't, respond to that. And that really, to this day, is one of my saddest memories because I could feel the cops' tears falling on my face and stuff as he carried me out of the house and cried and telling me he was sorry, for what happened. Of course, he didn't have anything to do with it, right? He just came in because a sister of mine contacted the cops to come. Well, the next time my dad and I got into it, a friend of mine came to the door, heard the commotion going on in the house, and we only lived like just a little over a half a block from the police station. He ran, got cops. They came. Well, first it was one cop. He shows up, and then his chief of police shows up. Um, the chief wanted him to leave me there with my dad in his angry mood. And the cop said no. And so his name was Artie Lunyon. I don't know his first name. I just know his last name. But anyways, he says no, and his chief says this is his family matter. You need to stay out of it. Blah blah blah. And he goes, no, I'm not. And he goes, yes, you are. And they have this little argument go on. And he pulled out his gun and he held him at gunpoint, my dad and the chief, and told me to go get in his car, which I did. I ran. He took me to a safe place. And after he got me to safety, he went and turned in his badge and his gun. That was powerful to me, even at 15. That was powerful to me. What it told me, without any words, just his actions, was I stood up to my dad that day. I realized I had strength enough to hold him off until help came, right? But he wasn't afraid of his chief. He wasn't in fear of doing what needed to be done. He just did it. That told me a whole lot. And I go back in my mind, not because of the seriousness of what was going on, but to what it really taught me. And I remember telling my dad one time, not long after that, after all that mess was over, that I couldn't wait to grow up and not have to, you know, be under somebody else's bossing me around. And hi, AJ. Good to see you. And so, courage. A doctor, my boyfriend back in those days, his dad was a doctor, and it wouldn't be until years and years and years later that I would learn that he thought I was the most courageous and brave person he'd ever met, and he told his son that. His son and I didn't end up staying together. But I just remember at 15, when about that age, about that time, that I wasn't going to be bossed around, told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and follow everybody else's orders and do things their way. Although I have fallen into that trap like many of you have, even myself, we fall into it. The government wants you to be licensed to drive your car down the road. They don't build those roads. My dad worked on those roads. I guarantee you Trump has never built a road. Barack Obama probably never paved a road in his life. He never got out there and slowed traffic and directed them, right, while road work was being done or any of that kind of stuff. But they'll tell you that they build the roads and blah, blah, blah. No road in this country is just built. The first people to build them are like if you buy raw land and it's just been, graded so there's a way to get to and from it. The first people to pave that road are the homeowners on both sides of the street. I remember that when I was a kid because we lived on a dirt road when I was really little. And it wasn't until my grandpa retired, somewhere late 80s, early 90s, somewhere in there. He'd retired. And I think it was late 80s. But they finally got together and paved their streets in that neighborhood for the first time. But he had to pay for his share from where his yard started to the middle of the street. The person across the street had to pay for their side, and they all got together and paid it. Had someone come in and pave their street. It wasn't the government. The government didn't come in and do crap. They never lifted their finger. You all, if you've had your own private business, got a license to run and operate that business. Did the government ever come and do anything for you? Did they compensate you in any way? Did they pay you to set up that business? Everyone likes to talk about the Constitution, so let's talk about it. In the Constitution, it says anything that they want to take, they have to compensate us for, right? So, who's compensated when you get a license to drive? Do they pay your car insurance? They want they want to you to register it with them. They want you to get a driver's license, right? Those are contracts. They don't give you the contract. They just tell you, hey, you need to do this. And then they write up codes that can change anytime they want to. They can change the codes, the RCWs in my state. Hi, Mike. Good to see you. So, how do y'all feel about that? Are we participating? Are we just following orders? Are we no better than the cops that we want to hold accountable or the politicians? Are they just writing crap down, making crap off the top of their heads, and then tell us we have to do this and that and jump through hoops like circus animals? Are we participating in the bullshit? Just asking. If we want others not to just follow orders, should we be following orders when it's our duty to be non-compliant? Exactly. It's a blame game. I'll blame you so I don't have to be responsible for my share in the problem, right? I don't have a license. I'm refusing to get one. I don't care what you do. I mean, I know I'm not trying to say that to be mean, but I don't give a damn. You can kiss ass if you want to. I'm not going to. Because my every single one of you have a license if or an ID that has a expiration date. The word expire means that you no longer have obligation. You're not obligated anymore to that contract. So why go back out there? It was a lawyer friend of mine. He's a very young lawyer in the country of India. Met him on another program and website. I love him dearly. He was a orphan in his country, and it's not something that an orphan has ever done before and become a lawyer, right? For their in their country because they're just it's just difficult for them because most lawyers it's their children and stuff that become lawyers and whatnot and follow in their parents' footsteps. But his parents had passed away when he was 8. Both his parents were gone. It was his sister, and her mother had been, paying for her schooling when she was young. And so now she's having to clean for her aunts and uncles where they lived so that they would pay for her little brother's schooling because in India, the children's schooling isn't free like in the United States. So when he was going to school and everything, I knew he was going to school, but because there's a language barrier, some things don't come across very well. But he sent me his link and showed me he graduated second in his class. And every time he would get to another section, because they do it in sections, right? Everyone goes through the first section, and then they only keep the best in those classes. And he kept showing me these things, but I don't speak that language. So there's a lot of things I wasn't grasping. And one time I told him I wasn't going to talk to him anymore because he'd asked me so many stupid questions like, what does this word mean? And what does that word mean? Because I'm typing in English, right? Oh my gosh, I learned the hardest lesson ever because he tells me I don't know your language and I'm on this program and talking to people in English because it helps me with learning English, and then I can do better business in my country when I deal with people that are not in the country. So that made sense. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry for being so judgmental and just jumping to conclusions here, right? We're always constantly learning things. But then when he was all done with school, I asked him with his college and his university, whatever you want to call it, law school. I asked him, so what are you going to do now that you're done? Because see, I'm still not getting what he's in school for. And he goes, oh, I'm already working. I'm a lawyer. I'm like, oh, wow. Right. Amazing, amazing young man. And then he told me about how things go in India. Everybody gets a car, they go out, they get all their paperwork and whatnot, and then when it expires, right? They start out getting it all, following the rules, right? But once it's already done, then everything, then they don't go back and get it anymore. Now, here's the thing. People go, oh, well, if you don't have a license, blah, 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 right? We're going to go out here, drive recklessly, run over people, do our own thing, and we aren't going to follow any rules. Thing is that's just not quite right. Okay, someone somewhere. See you when you get done with dinner. Enjoy. Our job, our duty, is not to go out and harm people. Matter of fact, the most common law to all of us is to do no harm. In other words, don't go just take what's not yours. Don't run over people just because you can. That's stupidity. They want you to believe that you're stupid enough that if you don't have a piece of plastic with some ink on it and an image that resembles you on it, that you're just going to be a dumbass and go out there and act like there's no rules. You already know there's rules. You know how badly you would feel if you went flying 100 miles an hour through a school zone with kids crossing the crosswalk to get to the other side of the street and you killed them all. Wouldn't you feel horrible? Wouldn't that be the most horrific thing you could ever imagine doing? So you wouldn't drive like that around a school. It makes no sense to do that with or without any kind of paper or plastic. So are we just taking orders, putting money in their pocket, bowing down to them, and acting like we're the most stupidest rocks on the planet with no brains, just, following orders? And then everybody's all pissed off, pointing fingers, cops are just following orders. Well, what the hell do you think we're doing? Are we just following orders because this is the topic that really pisses me off because I've not just followed all orders. I did for a while. I went and got a license because at the time I couldn't prove why or how come I didn't have to have one. And then it was years before I realized, well, freaking hell, they've got the descriptions in their own words, where it says a motor vehicle is one that's used in commerce. It doesn't say that all cars and trucks are commercial commercial vehicles, right? But the term vehicle was commercial. You have a delivery truck. It's commercial. They want to make sure that those trucks are, the brakes are fixed and running in order, whatnot. 18-wheelers. You've got how many tons in a load? If Midwest was here, he could tell us. right? There's a there's a lot of very, very amazing things that we don't think about, but we can share this information. A birth certificate, I wasn't born with one. They created one at the hospital when I was born, but then something happened at the hospital I was born, and there was some kind of fire or flood or whatever that destroyed the stuff in the basement, and mine disappeared. And so I'm one of those few that never have one had one. So now I have like this kind of some sort of document that had to have um, my dad fill out and then take it to a oh, what do you call them people? They verify your signature and all that crap. I forget what they're called. Sorry. Sometimes my mind doesn't doesn't remember the words. It's there, but um, come on, guys, help me with this word. Uh, you sign it you sign your name in front of, yes, a notary. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Yes. So I got my Social Security after notarizing, after a notarized paper to verify who I was. I got some type of a document that allowed me to get other things done. It's a proclamation of birth or whatever, but it was done because of a notary. Um, my first license done through a notary. You just take what you got and give it to them, and then they want you to do a notarized signature at the bank. And I don't know, I've only had like a 2, 3 bank accounts in my lifetime. And when you go in, they want you to, one of the things they want you to do generally is to sign your name like 10 times, and that's done in front of a notary, right? Because every time you sign your name, you don't sign it exactly the same every time. So they want a good wide range. So like 10 times, and you write your name, and then that goes into your record for that bank account. Not sure if y'all have experienced that, but I have. So notarizing something is what makes it certified, legitimate, whatever. So again, my question is, are we just taking orders, going out, filling out paperwork? And besides that, I want to know, anybody know who these legislatures, politicians, who's their boss? Who's the cop's boss? In the courtroom, in the judicial system, who's their boss? I want to know who's bossing them around. Anybody know who's bossing those people around? I'm just curious if y'all know who their bosses are. You know, are they just writing stuff down, making up things so that they can turn over some revenue? Not even their damn money. If you go to the Federal Reserve, read up on some of their own paperwork, documents, whatever you want to call them. It says that the dollar has no value. We could be trading sticks, rocks, whatever. Okie dokie, John Denicola. Have a good night. Thank you for dropping in. That's right. Here's my thing. I can walk out of my house. I can go to the store. I can come back. Nobody's moved in. Nobody's took all the stuff out of my home. Been living here since 2005 in this particular place. And I bet you guys do the same. Bet you live in your homes, come and go. And for the most part, all your all your neighbors respect that. Does maybe sometimes a kid or somebody cross your lawn, maybe. But for the most part, there's good people out here. And yet we're told how bad we are and how we need to be controlled and told what to do. And we need a piece of paper to tell us these things when, you know, it's to me, it's just not factual. It's not truthful. And us following the same orders that we want others to follow or whatever. Like, you know, the cop that protected me as a child, he wasn't afraid of his boss. He wasn't going to do what his boss told him to do. He wasn't going to just follow his order. We all have that right. We all have a mind. We all get to use it. In my opinion, we're part of the problem when we don't nullify things by simply refusing to participate. People go, oh, you just want a utopian society. Well, we pretty much have one for the most part. Are there bad people out there? Yes. Not all cops are bad. But a lot of those cops aren't even questioning what they're doing anymore. They're out there just creating revenue for someone else. Cowards never come to the front. Never. They always hide behind somebody else or something else. And right now I see a whole lot of cowards. Y'all call politicians. Y'all call them government. They're men and women. They are flesh and blood. They breathe. They bleed. They eat. They sleep. They do everything we do. I don't care. These people out here are saying, oh, they're reptiles and they're shapeshifters and they're this and they're that. Pay attention to those words. What do they really mean? Question everything. Ask, why does a cop get to, come and beat on somebody's door and barge in like they're doing? We're seeing these things. We're seeing what ICE is doing. I'm sorry, but, ICE are men and women. They're standing with cowards behind them, telling them, "Oh, do this and do that, and we'll make sure you're protected." No, they're not. I guarantee you, if 100,000 of us went out and all faced in front of them with our shotguns, our rifles, our gas masks on, and whatnot, and we started shooting, they would drop, they would die, they'd bleed out just like the rest of us would. Right? That's what they call war. You put your life on the line for me. That way I don't have to go out and shoot because I'm a coward. I'll give you some of these Federal Reserve notes called dollars that don't have any value, and then I'll charge you tax and everything on your home and all this other stuff, so I get to collect it all back. I mean, it is bullshit to the core. How many of y'all are pissed off for realizing you've been, had the wool pulled over your eyes and steamrolled and lied to? Does it not piss you off enough to take your driver's license in and say, I don't want this thing no more, or let it expire and never go back and get another one? I'm going to look up the definition so I can just read it to you. EXPIRE, expired. Let's look at that. All right, we're just going to take the first thing. It just says dictionary. This is Oxford Languages. So it says expire of a document, authorization, or agreement cease to be valid, typically after a fixed period of time. The old contract has expired. And then the second meaning is the lady expired bearing her lord a son. She died giving birth, it sounds like. So, if we're going to talk about expired, right, it's no longer valid, having exceeded its period of validity, expired license, an expired contract. These are things. This is the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition, right? You can go to the codes in the federal and state level. And when you go to the codes, you can go to their definitions, right? Title 18, 31, USC 31, that one, definitions. It tells you the definitions used in their codes. You can go to your local state codes and look up the definitions there. That's where you want to find their definitions because they're a business. So you want to go to that business that's writing their code, because a code is how a business or a corporation protects their trade secrets. They write things in code. So maybe the word people that you and I refer to each other as, we're people, right? But that's not what the federal definition of people is. The federal definition are those with political power. Do you have political power? Hell no, you don't. You don't work for there. You're not in that business. You ain't hired. So you're not a people. I hate to tell you, but you're not a people. Not according to their code words. Mike, it's business. If you go to university and you take business classes, or if you just get books and learn from yourself, that's how I got it. I got it from reading books myself. So find you some go to some bookstore and find you some like the big textbooks that they use in universities to teach law or to teach business, to get master's degrees, to do these things, right? Read them. You start to see it's not about one thing. They put us in these little boxes, right? Once you go through elementary school, where you're all in one class learning all the same things throughout the day, then in high school and junior high and stuff, they start segregating the classes, right? And then they give you that 10 or 15 minutes between classes where you're talking about your friends. You're no longer concerned about the class you were in. You're not yakking about the class you're going into or anything. You're just getting your books and yakking at your friends. That's like a commercial on TV. Puts a block there. When you go into the next class, it's just about this subject. Well, let's talk about baking a cake. If I just put out flour, I ain't going to get a damn cake. I need some eggs and some oil and some baking powder and some flavoring and some butter, whatever, I need these other things to go into it to make a cake. Well, it doesn't stop there with just ingredients. I need to know measurements, right? I need to know how much of each. So I need to know some numbers, maybe some fractions. And then I also need to know about temperature and why is it a cake bakes better at, 350 than 500 degrees, right? All these things are synergistic, working together. It's not separate anymore. That's a bit of chemistry going on there. That's a bit of knowledge about what tastes good together, right? Building a house. You don't start at the roof. But right now we have those that come in and do the foundation, those that come in and do the framing, those that come and do the walls and the roofs, right? But back in the day when my grandparents were all ranch kids, right? Their families were ranches. They grew up on ranches, and that was a generational thing on both sides, my dad's and my mom's. They got together with neighbors, built houses. They got together with neighbors and built barns. No professionals came in. This is stuff they did. I'm 60, so that puts my my grandparents were children back during the Great Depression, which they passed on now, but they weren't standing in soup lines. My great grandmother raised her children after leaving her husband for cheating on her and getting another younger girl pregnant, and raised 9 children during the Great Depression. She was a seamstress. So what was she doing? Sewing for the wealthier people in Flagstaff, Arizona. That's where she moved to from Texas. And she had a garden out back that helped provide food. She had chickens that helped provide eggs. She did some washing and ironing for other people, but she also used her skills to buy this and pay for the things she couldn't, you know, grow or have. You know, you can't have a, a ranch, a big cattle farm in the backyard, you know, when you live in town. So you're going to have a way to get your meat. Now, she did have her chickens, and they did eat fresh chickens, but they'd have to get their beef and their pork and whatnot by, you know, talking with others and making deals. Hi, Brandon. Good to see you. Glad you could join us. I really want you all to understand in my lifetime I've faced fear. I've had guns pointed at me. I've been beat as a child. I was told that I had to obey whenever I left home and I no longer needed my parents, that I would have to obey the government. That to me was the most appalling thing my father ever said to me, that I would have to obey the government. Excuse me? What was the point of our parents raising us, teaching us right from wrong, if we're going to have to grow up and then become somebody else's slave? Yes, they did breed rabbits. My grandma and them, they did breed rabbits. I forgot about that. But yeah, rabbits, quail. I mean, in town, these are some of the things you can do for yourself. Now, I have a problem with harming an animal, so I need to make deals where somebody else will, you know, do my butchering and all that kind of stuff, where I just provide them their share of the chickens or whatever, right? So you can make those kind of deals if you have somebody or know somebody that hunts and knows how to butcher and stuff like that. Make a deal. Tell them, hey, if you'll butcher me 50 chickens, I'll give you 50 chickens, right? You can make those kind of deals. You can barter your way through it, right? Um, we don't need anybody to think for us. We can think for ourselves. We just have to change how we think. You're not the boss of me. Little kids say that all the time. You know, when somebody tries to boss a little kid around, you're not my mommy, you're not my daddy, right? We hear that? Yes, Brandon, those are the best deals. Um, Oh, I was raised to be a bootlicker to a point. I had my dad's little brother, and he was also one of my very first teachers when it come to cops. Because see, he was a Marine and he came back from Vietnam and he got a job at the local sheriff's department as a deputy. I was at my grandma's and his mom's, and he come home, and his mom says, "What are you doing here? I thought you went to work." And he goes, "No, I quit." And then he proceeded to tell her that they wanted him to do things that he wasn't even allowed to do in some other country in war. And they wanted him back, and this was back in the late 60s, very early 70s, somewhere in that time frame. I think it was very early 70s. But anyways, I remember him telling her that. I remember that bit of a conversation. I found it to be very fascinating as a little child, you know. I don't know why it stuck in my head. It just did. So that made an impression on me, which just got logged in the back of my brain. Yeah. Well, you know, a good cop, somebody that just said, I'm not taking that job, they want me to do crap I ain't going to do. So my uncle just had that built into him, right? I'm still not proud that he joined the Marines because, he was in some other country being a cop, right? Acting like a cop in some foreign country, just with a new label called a military, right? A Marine. It's no different than being, say a New York cop or a Boston cop or a Dallas cop or a Seattle cop, right? They'll have their own names, business names. And we look at DC, the District of Columbia, right? That whole area is basically a business. It's a foreign corporation. They came over here. What was they offering? They were offering a protection if somebody came to our land, the British were, and tried to attack us because we were a very new country. That was what their purpose was. But they didn't bring their people from their country to fight on our behalf, right? They used our children. You know how sickening it is to watch over my lifetime going to being raised in Christian schools and churches and blah, blah, blah bullshit. And they get so excited. My son's going to join the military. He's going to be in the Army. My son's going to be in the Navy. And they throw parties for them. Excuse me, you're sending your kid off to kill people that you've never met, that never caused you harm. And you do this from the church where you've been raising your children, and the 10 Commandments says, "Thou shalt not kill." It didn't say if, and, or but. It just says, "Thou shalt not kill," period. Those are the things that irritate me. Contradictions. It's like, you can do this as somebody else tells you you can. You can go out and take other people's lives if somebody pays you. But wait a minute. You can't pay anybody. We will pay people to do it, right? A city, they hire the police department. That the city council people don't go out and harm people, kill people, right? They send their goons called the local police department out to do that for them because that creates a revenue for them. You can't say, "Oh, I'm going to commit suicide," because that's against the law. Why? Because you're a taxpayer. You can't end your own life because then that means you won't be here to pay us taxes. But if somebody says, "Hey, this person's, really sad, down, whatever, and threatening to do their self-harm," then the cops will come in and they'll take you out. Why? Because they want to be the heroes. You can't be the hero of your own life. They need to be the hero. Makes no sense at all. It's a bunch of contradiction and bullshit. Every bit of it. That's why you see it says I'm allergic to bullshit. Why? Because I can see this manipulation. Good evening, Mr. Super Sidewinder. Exactly, Brandon. But the thing is um, I look at the war on drugs. I'm gonna take y'all to this little country we all know, and the war pretty much started in Colombia, right? We were told those people down there that were farming cocaine plants and growing cannabis, that they were a cartel. No, they weren't. They were farmers. They just weren't growing corn and squash. They were farmers. They had families to feed. They sold their crop, the products from their crop, to pharmaceutical companies, to food businesses that were making like Coca-Cola, because back in those days Coca-Cola had cocaine in it. It was one of the ingredients. They exchanged the cocaine for what? Caffeine, another drug, but they already had control of it. So they told us that them cartel were down there just destroying lives. No. The DEA, the special forces that they sent down there to gain control of those farms, destroying those families, killing them. You can't grow this because you're not paying us a share. You're not giving us a piece of the pie. So you can't sell it because why? We control commerce. DC doesn't belong down there, do they? Do they own that land? No. They don't own any land. They don't own a damn thing. They take what they want and they use every single one of our children, all the way since back when my grandma had children and her sons went to fight the war in Vietnam, all the way back to my great grandparents and their children, and my great great grandparents and their children. Go join the military so you can go and kill for us so we can take what we want. But we're cowards. We can't do that. We ain't going to go in, personally and take somebody's farm because they'll kill us. We need about 1,000 or 20,000 of you to do it for us. Talk about a bunch of fucking idiots. Sorry. Just how I feel. I want to smack everybody upside the head. Wake up! Not literally, but figuratively speaking, that is. Yeah, I had cop punch me in the face at one time, Brandon. He had to call a bunch of his buddies before he did it. He wouldn't do it while he was by himself. I was willing to go with him. I just was trying to get somebody there to watch my children. He left my kids at my home alone, 11 and under, all four of them. Didn't give a shit. Told me he didn't give a damn. He was there to serve the warrant and was there to arrest me. And I said, well, I need to call someone, get someone here to take care of my kids. So while I'm calling on the phone, he gets his buddies to show up and calls back up. And yeah, wasn't long when he found out what a mistake that crap was on him. Not because I did anything. I actually was in the middle of fighting for custody of my kids because my family was attacking me and trying to get my kids taken away from me because I wouldn't obey them and do what they wanted and take my children to church and bow down to them. I live one hell of a life. And every day you're constantly fighting somebody. You got them calling CPS. You got them calling the cops. You got them calling this person, that person. It was mind boggling. It's crazy. But I had some good friends. Had cops, DAs, judges, bikers. I had friends in high and low places, and let me tell you, I needed every last one of them. I made friends when I least expected to make a friend, and they just kind of materialized out of the woodwork. There are good people out there. You never know when somebody you don't even know is going to pop up and be your guardian angel. You may be somebody's guardian angel. You don't know. But it happens. I can't explain it, but it happens. And when it does, it's like, you know, the heavens open and everyone starts singing and the sun starts shining, even on the cloudiest of days. You can be the victim. You can. And you can live in misery. You can hate everyone. You can point fingers at everyone. But what are you doing to change it? Where are you standing? When that cop punched me in the face, I had a dentist I was supposed to see the next day, which I did. I got bailed out and I got to the dentist that morning at 10 o'clock. But the dentist was very angry because I could have died. Had an abscessed tooth where that cop, because he punched me in the face, knocked it out of place. He had to pull it. It was extremely infected. He said it could have gone right into my brain. Was willing to testify. And when I got to the courtroom, the cop see me, the one that came to arrest me, seen me. So he comes walking down, and it was really crowded. Everybody's trying to get in to sit down and whatnot. I look across the room when I walked in towards the back doors. There was two doors, one in the back of the courtroom, one on the other side of the courtroom going out. At the front part of the courtroom. So I walk in the back. I see my lawyer talking to the DA. I walk in. I've been charged with assaulting an officer. They dropped the other charges that were brought on by somebody making false allegations against me that caused the original warrant to be served. They dropped that and just went after me for assaulting an officer. I didn't assault nobody. The officer assaulted me and then claimed that my blood on him was his. And to top it off, it was city cops that came for his backup, not county. It was city cops. They were in blue. He was the only one in tan. But yet, that day in court, the investigator from the county, the sheriff's department, my enemy, I pissed him off whenever he was trying to get my friend to sign paperwork taking responsibility for something her sons did while in state's custody. And I'm telling her, don't sign that shit. They're responsible. We already talked to the judge about this. He already said the boys were in state's custody. So they are, and because county didn't do what they were supposed to do, they are responsible for the stolen car and the electric pole and all the damage that was done by her sons. Oh, I pissed him off so bad. So he was willing to say that he was at my house and testify against me. But the dumbass, the little punk deputy, comes up, slams his shoulder into me, weaves his way through all the people, slams his shoulder into mine, and then bends down and is whispering right in front of the DA and my lawyer across the room watching. I just kind of looked up at my lawyer and I saw the DA and I'm just looking at them and listening to what the dumbass had to say in my ear. And he's telling me that he's going to make sure that, or that he used the word they, we're going to make sure that they throw the key under the jail and you inside it. That's what he said to me. And so after he finally moved so I could weave my way in through all the people and get across to where my lawyer was at, the DA wanted to know what that jerk said to me, so I told him. Then he's like, well, him and my lawyer talked a little bit and whatnot, and then wanted me to take a plea deal. I said, I'm not pleading guilty to this crap. I didn't do anything. But I also have this court case hanging over my head where they're trying to take my children. So I've got to choose here how to balance this out, right? I got a lot going on in my head. Yes, they do have to be the victim. But here's the thing. I'm so used to my childhood, starting at the age of 4, whenever I met my first really bad so-called authority figures at the home we were taken to after taken away from our mother. In California, they had what they called receiving homes. So you have this big building and all these people that work for the state, and you go there until they can find a place to put you in foster care, right? And it's a CPS organization thing. It's not even government, it's CPS. It's a private nonprofit organization that does this shit. And because I didn't wear shoes when I was a little kid, I hate shoes. I'm not wearing shoes right now. I don't wear shoes unless I absolutely have to. And that's the only time I wear shoes. Back in the day, you could go in the store and go barefooted. You didn't need to wear shoes. But then they started this bullshit, no shoes, no shirt, no service, you know. Oh my gosh. There's a lot of things that have changed, guys. I don't know how old y'all are, but there's a lot of bullshit that's really changed. Now, I get why you may wear shoes in a store because somebody can break a bottle or whatever. That can be a piece of glass, and, you know, they don't want somebody accidentally getting their foot hurt, cut, whatever. And so, okay, I can agree with that. It just makes common sense, right? But that's because all it is. It makes common sense. All right. So, you know, if somebody gets hurt on your property or whatever, you would feel responsible and want to take care of that. But some things are just accidents, and you just chalk it up to that. It's just an accident. Like that dumb bitch that got ordered, what, she ordered coffee at McDonald's and sued McDonald's because she spilled the coffee on herself and it was hot. No shit, Shamu. That was my whole response to that thing. You know, don't, you know, make sure you get a good hold of it before you drag it across your lap and spill it on yourself. Yeah, well, I do wear my shoes sometimes. Most of the time it's flip flops or slip ons, you know, like those little squishy whatever. Um, yeah, shoes have their purpose, but, you know, I just never like shoes. So, anyways, kind of got off a sidetrack because I hate shoes. But, anyways, what happened was the lady that was trying to make me wear shoes and the other lady that was helping her, we was up in the attic part because that's where they had all the clothes and shoes and stuff. And they had me sit on this little stool thingy. And whenever I wouldn't let her put the shoes on, she backhanded me so hard, she knocked me off that stool and across the room. And I literally slid on the floor, and I remember how bad it hurt. Then they scooped me up, held me down in the floor, climbed on top of me, hold me down on the floor. I'm 4 years old, mind you. I'm 4 fucking years old. Climbed on top of me and forced shoes on me. and then stuck me on that thing. I went quiet, guys. My little self went completely quiet. And in that moment, I started thinking of horrible things, you know, watching every move they made. I didn't talk. I didn't say anything. I just watched. I became extremely observant of my surroundings. Anytime somebody yelled, I became very observant. I didn't talk, didn't say anything. That's why whenever I was older and my dad tells me that I can't tell the things that his wife and her mother were doing to me and how they were torturing me and, uh, you know, abusing me in, those horrible ways. I couldn't tell him because he told us that we were not to tattle on her. So he shut us up. We couldn't use our voice. So I honored that. Dad told us never to lie, but he also told us we couldn't talk. So these things grow with me. I remember I'm in church. I can't lie, right? I'm not supposed to lie. And the damn preacher, this was when I was 14, and the damn guy teaching the class in the church, for your Sabbath school, Sunday school part of the uh, day, asks me why I came to church. Oh my God. My dad was in the room, but I can't lie, right? I said, because my dad makes me. I got the hell beat out of me at home for embarrassing my dad at church that day for saying that. But I was told not to lie. So I didn't lie. I took the beating. We had an ex-offender at our school kissing boys and crap. I called him out on it because I saw him. I'm the one that took a beating every night for 2 weeks solid when he come home. My dad came home from work for not going to the school, taking my punishment, and apologizing to that son of a bitch. I was a stubborn brat then, and I'm a stubborn brat now. I can out-stubborn the best and the worst of them. Sorry. I'm not backing down. I'm not saying I'm sorry for something I wasn't sorry for. I'd rather be beat the fuck to death. I'll die first. Just like in that courtroom, whenever I listened to the DA, him and my lawyer talking, they were offering me a deferred sentence with the knowledge that only a judge generally offers a deferred sentence, not that they don't actually ask for one, but they were going to stick their necks out, the DA was, to ask the judge for a deferred sentence because one of the guys, which was that detective sitting over there in line to testify against me, was the judge's best friend. I looked at the DA when he told me that, and I said, well, then the judge can recuse himself. He looks at my lawyer, then they look at me, and then he says, well, look, we'll leave it on the table, and if you change your mind, because I'm shaking my head no, because I got those cops watching me. They're watching me like a freaking hawk, like a hungry one. And so I just shook my head. I have a plain look on my face. I'm not showing any emotion. I'm not getting excited. I'm just kind of staying neutral, shaking my head no, playing like a dumbass. But in my head, I'm thinking, holy shit, this is what I need. If the judge accepts this, I'm out of here. Whatnot. I'd never been in trouble before. I never laid a hand on that cop, but I got to fight for my kids. So which case is more important here, my children or fighting this dumbass cop and their bullshit? I didn't have time for that. Had enough worry already on my head and on my shoulders. Yeah, well, sidewinder, I'll tell you what, I was 16 whenever a guy that worked in and I happened to meet him, and he tells me my stubbornness was my best quality as long as I learned how to use it correctly. And to this very day, he was absolutely 100% correct. It's a quality that every person needs, and it is a good one, but you do have to govern it because it can also be detrimental as well if you don't use it correctly. I've done both. But that the DA left it up to me to wait. He says, well, when they call your name, he goes, just give me a nod, yes or no, if you want me to go ahead and request, make this request to give you a deferred sentence. And I said, all right, and just kind of shrugged my shoulders. But I said, my answer is no, and I'm shaking my head because I got those dumbasses watching me, right? They're over there acting like, vultures, watching every move I make. And so when my name was called, the DA turns around and looks at me, and I just blinked my eyes once, down, lowered my head a little bit, and lifted back up and opened my eyes. He understood that to mean yes. The dumbasses over there against the wall don't know this, right? I didn't nod my head yes like a little bobblehead and make it obvious. I just made it very, very, very subtle. It's all the DA needed. Made my lawyer stand up. The DA requests a deferred sentence. Tells him that I have no priors. Blah blah blah. Judge liked me. Just so you know, the judge in that courtroom liked me. I'd been there before, testifying for other people, and also, yeah. So judge liked me. I'd met him whenever my friend was, had issues with her son in his own private chambers. We went and just talked to him to find out some information of who had responsibility in that situation. So yeah, I knew the judge, and casually, not like as a personal friend or anything. It was just kind of like acquaintance type of person, type of thing. So he agreed. He said, "Sure, sounds good." Blah 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 blah. And then the cops who was sitting there, the deputies, and the investigators sitting over there that was going to testify, or 4 of them all lined up over there, or 5, all lined up. And the one that had slammed into me, telling me that I was going to be in jail and the keys were going to be under it for a good long time, he went out and slammed the doors. He was so pissed. He made a jackass out of himself in front of the court. Of course, in my head, I'm going, woohoo, right? But outside, I'm just standing there being respectful self, right? But in my head, I'm going, serves you right, you dumb punk. I have to say, my head's one thing, but what you're seeing is totally different, right? You're seeing complete control. You have no clue that in my head, I'm throwing a party. Oh. Hey, good evening there, Homestead, Mississippi. We're just kind of going over, our part and just taking orders. But yeah, so I needed I didn't have time to, take that case to court and to, you know, deal with all of that. And my lawyer, she was just the sweetest thing. She happened to be our local city judge at the time that she was appointed my lawyer. And now I have good rapport with the DA, the judge, and I have a good relationship with my lawyer at that time. I don't think all these people are bad, and in the system of things, there's good people out there, guys. But you can't have a bad experience one place and put that on everybody else's shoulders. You got to really pick and choose. You got to pick and choose. You got to realize there are some people you got to trust. They're in a place that can help you if you trust them. Is everyone trustworthy? Hell no. The cop that punched me in the face and then turns around and says, I'm the one that assaulted him, not a good cop. I wouldn't wish him on my worst enemy. But the other people around, really good. And while if that incident hadn't happened, my lawyer would have never asked me for the very next thing she asked me. First, the DA tells us, me and my lawyer, to wait and not to leave the room until the next break when he could talk to us. He made sure between me and my lawyer that I knew if I got pulled over by any of the deputies in the county that I was not to stop. I was to go straight to the local police department and request my lawyer, which all of them knew because she was a city attorney. She was a city judge, right? And he would make sure that they knew that not to turn me over until she showed up or whatever. They created protection for me. I didn't ask for it, didn't know I could. But they created that protection. And then my lawyer tells me to meet her back at her office. And so we do. And so she says, I'd like to do a little bit of a social background on you. I need to know who you know and their relationship to you and blah, 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 because she knew my family and she knew that they weren't good people. My, dad and his wife and those other people immediately around me, not me and my children, but, those that were, trying to get the state to take my children, sisters, dad, those kind of people, those family members. And so I told her, well, in Texas, this DA is a friend. I met him when I was 14, spent a month in jail, but during the day, I spent it at the courthouse and got to know him, the court clerks, this, that, another thing, right? Chiefs of police in 2 towns, knew them. My son's family, his cousin was the FBI, and not just anybody, but a lieutenant in the FBI. So, I start giving them, and then I start telling them my biker friends and whatnot, and my other regular everyday friends, and my and those that I consider to be my friends, right? Not the people that attack me all the time, but really good people in my life that, taught me things, helped me, lawyers, judges, DAs. Those were just, some, because I was thrown into that situation when I was being abused as a kid and ran away from home. And they're the ones that were looking out for me. They tried to get me to file charges, press charges against my dad, because back then they couldn't take me away from him without my signature. You can't just know what's going on and be protecting your sisters and your siblings in a house that's that volatile and say, okay, yeah, take me out of there. No, I couldn't. If they're going to leave all the other children there because nothing happened to them yet, there's nobody to protect them if I'm not there. When my dad would go after one of my sisters, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. They didn't do that anything. They don't deserve that. You can't touch them. And I'd step between them. I'd take it. Is that crazy? Maybe. I've stood between men that abuse their women. Some I knew, some I didn't know. I don't care. You can't hurt people in front of me without me stepping in and saying, whoa, not on my watch. And all them damn cowards, not one time did any man ever lay his hand on me when I stepped in. When I threw them across the wall and let them, the room and let them bounce off the walls. I had a friend. He used to pick on me. And one day, he's like, I just ignored him. I wouldn't even talk to him because I was sick and tired of his crap. He goes, you want to learn to box? I go, yeah. First thing he taught me was how to throw a punch. So I did. Then he said, you want to put on the gloves and we'll just kind of duke it out and blah, blah, blah. I knocked his freaking ass out. I knocked him to the ground and knocked him out, knocked the wind out of him. He goes, damn, not that hard. We're just playing around. When he came out of it, when he could even speak. But yeah, kept telling me I hit like a sissy, like a girl. And that used to piss me off. Once he taught me, oh my gosh. So yeah, we live, we learn. We take those things with us and we can use them for our power, or we can just wallow around and go, oh, they're so mean to me, and cry. We can be the victim, or we can rise and be victorious. I suck at following orders. Can't stand to be bossed around. You can ask me anything. I'll help. I'll do things. But if you start giving me orders and trying to make me feel obligated, I'm like hitting a cement wall. Ain't happening. Each and every one of us, we need that. We need those strengths. We need those people that give us strength, teach us lessons, and make us think. I've been in a courtroom where I didn't have tags on my car, didn't have insurance and everything. Told the judge I wasn't giving him a damn thing. People are going, oh, but the judges don't like you to. That judge puts on his pants the same way the rest of you boys do. He ain't nothing special. He's just wearing a dress. Oh, I mean a black robe. He's just a man. He ain't scary. Should you be respectful? Sure. But I've never yet to this day, not in my divorce, not any kind of times I've been in court, I've never, ever, ever, and I never will, call one Your Honor. They ain't better than me, the Queen of England herself. Well, God rest her soul, right? They say. Oh, she ain't no better than me. She ain't any better than you. She's got, she's got the heart, soul, blood. You know the script. Stop thinking these people are something you're not. They are everything that we are, and nothing more, nothing left. Don't be their victim. Stand up to them. What they need and what they want is you to comply, to give them the appearance of power. They aren't powerful. They need the appearance of power. Okay, Joko. Thank you for stopping in. Much appreciated. Much love to you all. Oh my gosh. You guys, every time I look back, I was sucked into some of the bullshit. I have to admit it. I'm not immune to being manipulated, okay? When that magistrate told me I had to get a license because I was like in 91. I drove 17 years or 11 years, I mean, without a license or insurance, any of that garbage, right? I even won a car. In the state of Texas, you were supposed to have a license and blah, 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 and everything to register your car in your name, right? Well, the judge gave it to me in my divorce. My husband didn't want me to have one, told the judge, she don't have a license, so I want both cars because they're in my name. And the judge looked at him and says, doesn't she need to take the children maybe to the doctor or go to the grocery store and get some food? Or maybe she want to take them to the park. All three of those are things that I would do where nobody would be paying me, right? I'm not a taxi driver. I'm not being paid to what they call Uber people, right, these days, and go get food for them and take it to their house. I'm not doing any of that, right? Taking my children to the doctor, personal business, right? Family business. Going to the park, family business. We do not have to pay freaking to go and do something and minding our own business. Our job is basically to do no harm. That is a maximums of actual law. Do you know if the Queen, this is how it described it in Maximum's Law. If the Queen was driving down the road and she gets in a fender bender with somebody else, that's on the road, she's responsible for her property and the other person's responsible for their property. Now, if you want to be a responsible kind of person, and say, hey, look, I wasn't quite looking when I backed up, and bumped into you, I'll give you the money to fix your car, right? That's how we should treat each other because that's how we want to be treated, right? But but under the maximums of law, that isn't the law because when you're in public, you can expect for those kind of things to happen. Now, when it becomes a crime is when somebody takes their car, revs their engine, puts it down the gas pedal as hard they can and slams into you and tries to shove you off a cliff. Now that is a crime. They're trying to kill you. They're trying to harm you, right? After they made insurance, I remember because I'm old enough, I remember back when I was a kid and we didn't have car insurance, right? And I remember when my dad got insurance and whatnot, when they started telling everybody they had to have insurance or whatever, and my dad, like a good little boy, went and got it. Even though he's a grown up, he went and got it, got his insurance. And started joining the Ponzi scheme so he could make somebody else rich while his family was still struggling. Just saying. But they started having people that would just go out and get into accidents, like be flying down the road, slide in front of you and slam on the brakes and let you rear end them. Why? Because for some reason, some jackass says if somebody rear ends another person, they're at fault because they can see when the person in front of them is going to stop, right? And that you're not supposed to be following so close that you can't react in time to, they're putting on their brakes. So this created a lot of fraud and attack in the insurance industry, and for people to get money whenever They literally caused the accident. Before that, there was way less accidents, guys, because people were more careful. They didn't want to get their property damaged. Nowadays, they don't give a rat's ass because some insurance company is going to pay it. People say the insurance companies that back the cops shouldn't back them because the cops should have to take it out of their own pocket. Excuse me, if you believe that your taxes are paying their salary, your taxes are paying it no matter whose pocket it's coming out of. Right? However, I have never actually ever seen a document that says our money comes, that their money, our money that's paid in taxes actually is what pays their salary. I know that when you pay land tax, it goes to like the fire and ambulance and schools and things of that nature, right? Maybe it comes out of in the city under the what the tax, for like when you sell things, like your grocery stores and your taxes that pay that kind of stuff, right? Local taxes. I've never seen it written anywhere that says it comes out there. I'm just guessing. Hi, Shy. What are you doing? Good to see you. Are you still here? Oh, yes. Shy, are you still there? If you are, just type something so I can see. Yes, Shy's. Hi. Well, Shy is bringing up when she's calling me a certified meteorologist was during her divorce, just so you know. My friend, this is my daughter, Shy Fry. That's what we call her. So her ex's lawyer, she was a real piece of work. Dumber than a box of rocks, but a real piece of work. She just thought she was smarter than she really was. And my daughter tried to show that the reason why we didn't pass her child off to the dad was because he showed up really late. He didn't give us any warning. He didn't contact us or anything. And I'd already drove twice to the drop-off location, and he hadn't been there. So when he did finally show up, I'm like, no, I'm not making another trip. I've made the trip twice. I'm not doing it again. Well, I just had this really strong gut feeling. So when I was taking her up to go to court, I told her, I said, we're going to stop off at the library and get something showing, that weekend from the weather service, right? And we get the printout from the National Weather Service of that weekend showing that the pass here in Washington, Snoqualmie Pass, was clear and dry. He tried to lie and say that it was closed, and we knew better. I had it on my phone. I could check the roads because we were having to go up there for court and for transfer of a child. So my daughter tried to show him, and he didn't take it the first time that she tried to show it. Then that dumb woman, lawyer, drags me into it. Thank goodness, right? I just love words. And she goes, what are they now? Weather experts. And since she said they, And there's only my daughter standing next to me. She was including me. So I take and I put my fingers at the top of the page like a scissors, and I go, no, but the National Weather Service is. And I turned it around so the judge sees that blue letterhead with National Weather Service written across it and takes it, reads it from the weekend before, the week, and then that whole week, that weekend it was highlighted that he was supposed to pick up the child, and then the week after to the next weekend. We made sure we got a nice window for them to see. And so she got yelled at in the courtroom right then and there in ex parte court for just believing what her lying client said. Still one of my proud moments, huh, Shy? Be very careful. Words are powerful. Sometimes they can pull you in. Sometimes they can, let you back down and step back. But they all matter. It was my daughter here. It was her judge that first brought it to my attention, even though it pissed me off in the moment, that she was participating. And I'm thinking, what the hell this lady talking about? You participated. Well, she did. She got that damn marriage certificate. She requested that license. She brought the state into her relationship, and now the state is taking care of it, right? I've been married once in my life, and I refuse to get married, though I've had relationships and I've lived with a man for a good extended period of time, a couple different ones in my life. But I won't marry them like, go down and say, hey, can I have permission, magistrate for, or the priest or preacher. I need to, I need this other person. I need your permission to love this other person so that you get a cut whenever we're done. Fuck that. I was with the last guy, off and on for 10 to 12 years, maybe. I don't know how long. It was quite a while. When we split, we just split up. He left with his shit, I left with mine, and we didn't have to pay no lawyers. We didn't have to, hire anybody. We didn't have to go get permission to say goodbye. Screw you, we're done. So my question is, are we just taking orders, kissing ass because it's easy? Or are we really standing up for ourselves? Are we nullifying their garbage that they're putting out? Their business. We ain't getting a damn thing in exchange. We're not getting paid. We're not, anything. We're not doing anything except for what they say. We are voluntarily getting those licenses. Not mandatory. Not because somebody's holding a gun to our head. We're doing it voluntary. We are in voluntary compliance. You can't claim to be a slave if you're voluntarily joining the club. I want every one of you to know, I'd give anything if tomorrow everybody that's not using their driver's license to go to and from school, home, work, whatever, and you're not getting paid for those trips, to take your damn license in and tell them to shove it up their what. You're not obligated. You can. Now, if you have tickets and whatnot, your license suspended, you do need to take care of that, because you were under contract when those things happened. But if you're free and clear, or your license is up for expiration, let it expire. Don't get another one. Take all those car tags. Your car is not commercial vehicle. Take it in and say, you know what? I'm not a commercial driver. You are not. You're not giving me a credit card so I can have gas when I need it. You ain't paying for upkeep, oil changes, whatever, auto body if you're in an accident. They aren't paying for nothing. They ain't giving you nothing in return. Right? They aren't compensating you. If you go to the DOT, the Department of Transportation, there is a difference between a commercial vehicle and a regular automobile, private car, truck that's not under commerce. You can do your own research. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a cop. I've never held a public job in all my life. I have worked for private businesses, but I've also been my own boss and had my own businesses. Done a bit of everything. I'm not better than any one of you. I've been through probably as much shit, if not more, and maybe even less than some. It's a choice. You have choices to make. You can just follow orders, do what you're told. They write it. And like the guy today that left me a comment, pencils, they write it, and then they can erase it, can change it. They can make up these rules and say, oh, you have to follow these. I looked it up at one point in time. There's something like 300,000 or whatever rules and laws and regulations and all this other garbage that they tell people they have to follow. But then they can change it anytime they want. So when you're doing something, all of a sudden, bam, you're told that you can't do that. It's against the law, or it's against the rules, or there's a statute against this or a statute against that. All those policies and statutes and codes and everything, that has to do with their business and their employees. When you go to court, you hear it all the time. Policies. Oh, I was following policy. I don't give a flying freaking hell about their policy. In that courtroom, the only thing that should matter is, did you follow the law? I don't care what what rules you broke on the job. And here's a difference. We go by law and law only. So if your policy is violating the law, then that's on you, not us. Here we deal with the law. But that's not what the judicial system does. Right now we're dealing with the world's largest well-organized crime syndicate. And all you can have to do is go look up the definition. The Oxford Dictionary has a definition for crime syndicate, I believe. Or maybe it's the Cambridge. What is that? The F, that thing that they set up, and that new thing, that act that they said that you can't be a mafia, right? Damn it. I hate when my words just disappear. Exactly. And the thing is here's something else, sidewinder. I get really irritated, although I'll listen to them, but I do get irritated about these people teaching, oh, you can do this, this, and this, and this is how you set it up. And they're using all the documentation and crap of these corporations and then telling everybody this is how you do it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm angry with them, but I'm saying that they're just, You have to be an original. You can't be a carbon copy of anybody, and you can't use somebody else's material because it's copyrighted. You have to understand this law and business and the copyrights and the you just got to be able to pull it all together to comprehend it all. I mean, I listen to these people like, one of them, Ryan, and in ways he's really right, but in other ways, come on, it's just oh, get this paperwork. Yeah, go get the government's paperwork. Go get that paperwork that you can use to rescind your thing. But don't write it. Don't use their paper. Write it with your own hand in your own paper and sign and notarize it or whatever, right? You keep the original. You give them the damn copy. Because why? Original is worth more than a copy. Anyone in business or law know that. Exactly. They do not follow their own rules because they know they're bullshit. They know they're absolutely bullshit. They're not the ones creating the revenue. They're the ones that are enforcing the revenue. When a cop pulls you over and yeah, you might have been speeding, sure, pull them over, say, hey, kind of slow down, traffic's starting to pick up. We don't want to see any accidents, we don't, whatever, and we'd appreciate that, and let them go. But no, they're out there, they want hundreds of dollars. They're not making, when they give you that ticket, listen to them damn cops. Every one of them will tell you, well, this is a promise for you to appear in court, to go in and see the magistrate. He's making a third party contract on behalf of that judge. He's not involving himself. He's just going to step back and pretend to be the witness. Yeah, I saw him speeding, blah, blah, blah. So they agreed to come in and see you. Voluntary compliance. You know what? If I was to ever get another ticket, I would just write VC ... and then my signature with void over the top of it, like I would be voiding a check. Because that means that is vicoctus. That's what VC means. Vicoctus, 3 dots, having been forced, and that's a signature under duress. But when you void it, when you write void over the top of it, it removes that signature. Because void is an action. A document or transaction void is of no legal effect whatsoever, in an absolute nullity. The law treats as if it never happened. Learn some Latin, because that makes the things that you say with a definitive comprehension and vocabulary, because it can't change Latin. Latin is a dead language, so it can't be used like English and changed to become a code. It is what it is. That's why you see a lot of legal work in the courtroom. I use the word ambiguous, but I know that's not the right pronunciation. But anyways, that's what it looks like when you read it. But in court, they want you to define it, and they use Latin to do it. Learn Latin. They can't twist your words. They can't change the definition to mean something else. Anything you say can or will be used against you. Well, guess what? I can play that game too. When you're in courtroom, of course you can play that game. Just like whenever that lawyer, used the word they when she said, what are they? Expert? She didn't say, what is she, a weather expert? She said, what are they? She brought me into it. So, what did the commissioner do? He take the paper from me. She drug me in. Well, thank you for dragging me in, kicking and screaming. I was happy to play the game, right? I remember she walked out whenever she lied in a courtroom and got my daughter's son temporarily given over to his dad. Comes out all cocky and laughing. Huh, how did you like that? She tells my daughter. Then she looks at me. Inside, I was just broke. But she looks at me, and I just tipped my head up and looked her right square in the eye and said, it ain't over till it's over. Like, this is just round one, lady. Get ready. Then I learned that part of that was because my family was going behind my daughter's back and my back and working with the other family. But guess what? My daughter has full, complete custody of her son. 100%. She listened to me. She did what was needed to be done. Was she heartbroken and all that? Absolutely. But she listened to me. And she came out on top. She needed my strength. And I showed her how to use my strength. And I'm glad that, she has custody of her child, and that the father, he didn't even want to visit after we got him back. I was fixing to take him back for his visitation. Got to take him halfway. And he said, don't bring him because I'm not going to be there. So, that's sad. He made that choice. Wasn't that she wasn't willing to share. He just didn't want any part of it anymore. But those were choices he made. Oh, it's the language of the dead. Well, heck, when I say dead language, I mean that the language itself cannot be changed. It can't be, the definition can't be altered. Or at least that's the way it was explained to me. If someone wants to come up and jabber with me and ask questions or even put their 2 cents worth in, I'm really open to that. StreamYard link is at the very top. See, there's another thing that I see differently. Earth is one place, and the world is all this man-made garbage on papers with documents and ink and images and all this other stuff. That's a world. That isn't Earth. Earth is, where abundance come from, right? It's where you can plant one little tiny kernel of wheat, and I'm just using that as an example, and you'll get one wheat plant, and it'll have a whole bunch of little pieces of wheat seed on it, right? Or you plant an acorn, and you get a whole tree, and it gives you acorns every year, a whole bunch of them. The bigger the tree gets, the more acorns you get, right? It's abundance. You take one, you plant it, and you'll get way more back than you took. If you just think about where you live, okay, the town closest to you, if every ornamental plant in that town was a fruit or a nut tree or a food-bearing vine or plant, there wouldn't be a homeless person around for miles because there would be more food than you could eat or give away. You'd be feeding your chickens, your hogs, and your turkeys and whatever else, rabbits or whatever. wildlife, composting it, throwing it back in the garden so it can grow some more food. I see abundance everywhere whenever I think of nature and earth and my true place of belonging. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey, I know you.
Yeah, I know you.
You're that one chick.
You liking my rant?
I am. It seems like we scared off most of the listeners, though. I sat there and watched the numbers circle down 7, 6, 5. Holy shit.
Well, here's the thing. I don't care if it's one person here or 1,000.
Yep. Yep. That's
If
how
they
I
want
am
to
too.
be,
Exactly.
if they want to bootlick, that's, just a term, right? If they think
Yep.
that, oh, she's talking crazy or whatever, I don't care. I've never
Yep. I
cared.
don't care either. Yep.
And here
Exactly. And if we leave
today,
this up online, maybe the right people will see it eventually anyway. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter. Like
exactly.
I rarely get a chance to talk to you, so I'll take the opportunity to speak with you, you know?
Yeah. I just want people to stop pointing the finger. When I was told when I was what, 12, 10, 12, I was pointing at somebody and saying something about them, and I was reminded that I had three fingers pointing back at myself, and I looked at my hand. I'm going,
Yeah.
"Oh crap, that's right."
Yeah. Right?
So people want to hold the cops accountable, but they won't hold themselves accountable.
It's absolutely right.
They won't
Yeah.
take personal responsibility for participating, for volunteering their time, their energy, their effort, right? Their
That is
compliance.
it. That is completely on you. You're doing that. If you're going along
Yes.
with it, what they call tacit consent, or you just I guess I went along with that, or I guess that's my president now, or you know what I mean? That's a mindset. That's your own trap. You're setting your own fucking trap.
Yes, it's voluntary. They use that word so much. What don't people get? I'm telling you, I've fallen. Like whenever that magistrate said, "Well, I'll shred all this garbage, let you out of jail to go get your kids and everything if you promise to get your driver's license." Well, my kids were getting kidnapped across the country and by my ex, and he already had one, and he was going to go and get the other ones, and so I agreed. So I watched her. I literally sat in the chair and watched her pick up my folder that had gone through booking, and they have a folder. It's got my fingerprints and my tickets and everything in it. And she picked it up and ran it through a shredder. The magistrate did that right in front of me at the jail.
That's
She came to
awesome.
the jail, shredded it, and that wasn't it. She tells she tells all of them there, the local, highway patrolmen and police department and sheriffs, that I needed a ticket to go get my kids, and so they all pulled a hat together and collected enough money to get me a bus ticket from Decatur to Fort Worth, Texas.
Wow.
No joke. That was when my grandma passed away. I was in a I was I was had I was in my ex-husband's pickup. He let me borrow his pickup because it was diesel and didn't take as much fuel and whatnot, gas wise, money wise and all that. So I had a 1-ton crew cab dually that was mine in my name, but I left it and just traded him for the time being. Went to New Mexico to my uh, grandma's funeral in 91. On the way back, I'm doing 85 and a 55. No
Yeah.
license, no insurance. And what I didn't know is because my ex had done was pulled all his registration and insurance, all that stuff out of the glove box. I didn't know that, but there was nothing in it. It was empty. Anyways, I'm flying along. I'm getting close to home. I'm ready to be home. I've been just the other side of New Albuquerque, and I'm just ready to be home. So see, Decatur's not that far from Dallas Fort Worth, right? I'm 30 minutes south of Fort Worth. I'm just trying to get home.
Sure.
And it was a highway patrolman. I'm white chick, I'm just white. I'm so white. I look like one of those little newborn pinky mice.
Yeah.
I'm blonde hair, blue eyed. Now my sisters and stuff, they've got darker hair than me, and they have beautiful skin. They tan very nicely and everything. But we also have native heritage in, on both sides of our family and our background. So they get the beautifulness. Me, I just got, if you go out in the sun, you turn to a lobster kind of look.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, I do. I just turn red as a beet. And so, yeah. But yeah, uh, I I get home. I send my sister because she was behind the bullshit of my ex picking up my daughter. But I had actually given the person that I turned my daughter over to while I was in jail there in Decatur. I had that came to pick up my friend and my daughter. I had the highway patrolman and both jailers, both the female and the male jailer in the jail itself, sign as witnesses. So there was 3 witnesses' signatures that I was letting him to take care of my child till I was out of jail. I know how to do things properly. I have lawyers and friends like that that taught me all kinds of good stuff in my younger days. So I made sure that she was protected and taken care of and whatnot and looked after. So when my sister tells my ex, and he's not supposed to be around my children, he was court ordered, supervised visitation only. So when he's kidnapping my kids and whatnot, and my family's helping, yeah, don't go very well. So, anyways,
Right.
I let my sister know I was on my way, and if my daughter wasn't at her house when I got there, that I was gonna report them both for kidnapping. My children, my daughter was at her house. Enough said, right?
Yeah.
My family, as much as I love them and I learned so much from them, the good, the bad, the rotten, the ugly, the whole 9 yards, they don't like that I stand on my own 2 feet. They,
Yeah, I find most people don't. Like they get real nervous because you're setting an example and showing how that like it's mirroring their cowardice. Like they're seeing like I should be standing up too, and I don't like seeing you stand up because I would never have the courage to do that. That's ridiculous, dude.
well, it does take courage to stand in the face of fear. It truly
Oh,
does. That's
absolutely.
actually what the word courage means.
Yep.
Doesn't mean that you're not afraid.
No.
It just means that you're able to, well, back when I was a kid, I heard that I'd rather die standing on my feet than on my knees, and that's just how I feel.
I'm kind of hardwired like David of the Bible. I don't recognize when a foe is larger than me, or I should back down, or you know what I mean. Like I don't
Yeah,
have that common sense. It's like when it's go time, it's go time. You know,
yeah.
it's it's been to my detriment sometimes, but generally, I come out of it with some respect from one side or the other. You know what I mean? Like the witnesses or the adversary in either case, right? But having the
Well,
courage to face things down like that, regardless
yeah.
of what the outcome could possibly be, or
Mhm.
reacting instead of freezing. Like I never freeze in a bad situation, but I have like a delayed reaction to like deaths. It takes me 24 hours before I even like sense the reality of it or begin to mourn or whatever. Like I stay really calm in the moment when I first get the news or I first realize something's going to escalate into a fight. Like I am like completely focused in the moment. I can be emotional about it later, but right now we got business to take care of, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think we all react differently, and a lot of times that has to do with the experiences, right? So, like when I see somebody going to harm somebody, or maybe even severe disrespect, I'm on it in a hot second because I don't have time to go, hey, where's the rule book for this particular type of a fight? I need
Right?
some rules. Somebody got the rules here. I'm just on top of it. And if they want to, I mean, I've never uh, started a fight, right? I've never gone out of my way to start a fight, cause a fight, whatever. But if somebody else wants to, I'll try to walk away if I can, if they'll let me. If they don't, I'm in a beeline going right towards them. I don't stop until I'm right in their face. I don't go
Yeah.
part way and then stop and go blah, blah, I just walk right up. I'm close enough to where we can touch noses. I'm just not playing the game. So if you want to punch me, you better make sure you punch me and knock my ass out. Because in the meantime, I'm planning to duck and come up fighting and knock your ass out. I learned
Hmm.
that in boxing, you know. It's it's watch
Me.
those hands, watch those eyes, look how their bodies flinching, moving, all that kind of stuff plays into it. Every bit of it.
Where they're
But you
bracing, if their shoulders flinch, everything, every sign.
everything, every little thing. Maybe it's just a twitch at the corner of their mouth or their eye. But what we
Yeah.
would have to do is like one of the exercises was to watch a fight and then we would discuss it like a real boxing, like one with whoever those dudes, all those dudes were. I liked Sugar Ray. He was my favorite.
Yeah.
But we would
Uh,
watch the fight and then we'd have to say where we saw them uh, tell us exactly before they threw their punch. We would
yeah,
have to
telegraphing.
we point out things. I was also in a class. It was a drama class, psychodrama class, and one of the things what we did is we would sit in a circle and have to hold people's hands on either side of us, right? And then we would have to describe what that person's energy was telling us on both sides of it. That you've got two energies feeding into you, not just those two, but that
Right.
whole circle, right?
Right.
People don't realize you're not just feeling the two circles. This is like the uh, completing an electrical circuit.
Right.
And so I was really good, and it was something that was, brought up to me and asked me all about how did I know that. And you could even tell when somebody, like I could tell the person next to me, whoever's hand they were holding, they were really triggered by it or influenced by that other person, not just themselves sitting there and what they were feeling. And people would get the heebie jeebies. I can know people's
Yeah.
names I'd never met in my life. Know them. I don't know how. I don't know how this crazy, natural
Well,
world works of
I
energy,
have a
but I know
question.
it's
I have a
there.
question before we change the subject from that at all. Does that sort of feeling, like that deep empathic feeling, make you feel comfortable or uncomfortable
It depends.
around others?
It
Well,
depends.
like that in the scenario you just described, sitting in a circle, everybody holding hands, closed circuit,
Mhm.
and feeling everybody's emotion at the same time, dude. For me, that's a little much. That's like overwhelming. But I'm trying to not influence your answer. I kind of want to know how that makes
Okay.
you feel.
I will give you without being in a circle, without holding hands. Ever walk in a room full of people, party, Christmas, birthday, whatever, bar,
Hmm.
church, I don't care where you're at, grocery store, anywhere there's a group of
Hmm.
people.
Hmm.
And you walk in, are you comfortable? Are you sensing that there's some uncomfortableness there, lightness, darkness?
If there's even one damaged, bad soul energy in that whole room, then I'm uncomfortable, is my answer.
Okay. So you do that. We all do this. It's I think okay, they call it in animals instinct. I don't know
Right?
why.
Yeah.
That's the experts for you. But we're not supposed to have instincts, okay? But we do. We truly do have them. I don't need to touch anyone. I can feel your energy clear over there. You're comfortable.
Right.
All right.
Right.
I can I have been in a situation. I went to a freaking parade in Dallas when my kids was little. It was Christmas parade, right? Those things are something for every child to enjoy and at least see once in their life, right? So we took our children, and this guy looks right at me, and I swear, he was so freaking creepy. I mean, I can't really describe him. He looked human. He looked at me, but I thought, okay, this is what I thought. You're not one of us as I
Yeah.
was looking at
Yeah.
him. I literally
See,
thought
that's
that.
what I'm talking about. If
He,
there's even
he
one of those
whirled
around,
around.
I'm overwhelmed by that energy.
He whirled around and he took off as fast as he could and disappeared into the crowd. I thought, wow, that was crazy because I I heard him say, "Oh crap, I've been detected or I've been
Right.
spotted,"
Right.
and I could hear his thoughts. Um, it wasn't until what years later that movie, I don't know what's his name was in, where he was seeing what people were thinking in their heads. Oh, I don't know. I'm not a movie watcher, but I remember the movie coming out and the commercials on it. But he could hear and see or hear what other people was thinking and stuff. Anyways,
Yeah. Oh,
I don't know.
the listener, the whisperer, listener.
Was that um what's that? Oh
It was like
damn it.
a Canadian police department used this guy uh
Well, I
to
mean, like
read other people.
he was like they had like big billboards and stuff. He was walking down the road and he was closing his eyes and whatnot. He put glasses on, blonde hair, kind of. I want to say he was like look kind of like back in the day Mel Gibson. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but anyways, I just remember seeing the commercials because I don't really watch movies.
Hmm.
They don't they don't suck me in. Okay, life sucks me in. I'd rather be
Well, I
fishing or
might be talking about something different because this was a TV series. I think it was called The Listener.
oh, it was a
But it's
movie
the
there
same.
I'm talking about.
Okay. Okay.
I want to say it was Mel Gibson. My daughter might remember who that was in that
So
movie.
I noticed something many years ago, and like I guess before I even go there, I've always felt like empaths should have gotten a special manual, little 10-page, extra instruction manual or whatever. But I noticed back around 2016 when a lot of people started waking up in a wave, like a drove of new people just going, "Hey, wait a minute, this whole system is fucking broken. Everything is a lie." Somewhere around that same time, what we're talking about, the empathic reading in a crowd and that sort of thing, mine like tripled in strength. And at the same time, it started working through text. So I could get like those readings through a phone, through text, through chat rooms, you know what I mean? Different
Mhm.
electronic means.
Yeah.
It freaked me out. And it took me a long time to find other people, the very few people that were like, yeah, I noticed that too. And they didn't really like notice the time, whether, what year it started happening for them or whatever. But
Yeah.
something shifted around that time to where we used to have to be in the same room to get a reading. And often the evil beings that were among us couldn't
Mhm.
really read us very well. Like they couldn't identify us. We could identify them, but they couldn't identify us. Well, at the same time, I started getting empathic feelings through tech. those things also started to be able to recognize me. Like I'd walk in a room and six evil beings would like lock right on me, like, oh shit, there's a beacon in here. You know what I mean? Like, holy crap.
Are you one of those that can see the shadows? Call them the shadows
Yeah,
because, like, if you see someone and then you see there's no way that the lighting, the whatever should be showing shadows on the walls merging into a person. I've seen those with my own eyes. It's creepy as hell. I do
yeah,
believe that in the supernatural, if that's what you want to call it, for lack of a better word. I believe in these that when we die, we are living inside a physical realm when we're inside a physical body and we're using it. But when we leave it, we are still that spiritual soul, whatever you want to call it. We're still that being, but without the physical body
right.
because of
Without the
my own
husk.
experience of death. Um, I really hate labels, but yeah, I've watched some of this empath stuff, the super empath, the all these other stuff. How this, I I listen to bits and pieces of that because when I listen to it, I'm just like, oh geez, if only they really knew, and they're only
Mhm.
touching the surface, and they're not really telling the truth. So yeah, I get that. So be very careful because if you're truly an empath, these things before they ever say anything. And what really gets me is the fact that they're so superficial. The worst thing in my world, my life, is a superficial surface conversation. I can't stand them.
Yeah, right,
I
right.
can't stand them. I want a deep, impactful, learn me something, you know, share me
Yes,
something that I
please.
can relate to or even take away and say, wow, that was, impactful to me. And I can try to do that. All my life, I just wanted to be a better me, right? If someone
Right.
says, hey, you've really hurt my feelings by treating me this way or doing this or that, I'm like, oh, wow, I never even realized it. Now I get an opportunity to make me a better me, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
Thank
blame
goodness.
them. Just make me a better me because now I know something I'm doing that actually may hurt somebody else's feelings. Now, do I care if I hurt everybody's feelings and don't want to hurt anyone's? Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's kind of funny
If
how
you
that
need
is.
your
Yeah.
feelings hurt, I'll be happy to help you.
Lay him down here. Let's see what's up.
Yeah. I mean, love it's not, people go, oh, I love you. But okay, but that's not just a feeling. The word love is not just a feeling. Love is how you treat somebody. You can slap someone across the face and then tell them you love them, but did you really show that person you love them? You're showing them how you love them, right? By your abuse.
Well, you know,
You
everything
can,
here is like trying to muddy the waters now, and one of the things that is has always bothered me is like how much we use the word love, right? And
yeah,
we throw it around like it doesn't mean anything, right? And then we
yeah.
take the most intimate things that people can do and we use those as curses against people. I mean, it the whole thing is pretty ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, I love potato chips. Do you really love
I
potato
do. I
chips?
love potato chips. I love Lay's potato chips. I'm picky.
But skinny just won't.
So,
There
so you will see me if I'm buying them. I'm getting the Lay's. Okay, so you know where my heart's at. Um,
you go.
it's the action. It's me getting that particular brand. There's some love there. Okay, so it it is how we're using that word. Some people are
Yeah.
using it as a label in for just a feeling only. How you
Yeah.
treat somebody is the act. That's the action, and love is actually an action word, not a feeling word. You can feel all kinds of ways. But when you really stop and look at the word itself and what does it truly mean? when to love one another, right? We learn that in church. If you ever went to church, you hear that. It's in the
Yeah,
Bible. Love your neighbor as yourself, right? What does
right.
that mean? It doesn't say have some kind of mushy feelings, does it? It's
No,
how we treat each
it's
other.
yeah, it's completely respect. You're right. It's action.
It's an action.
And
It's
then
an action
you got to,
word.
you've got to realize how easy it is to love somebody who's being loving, but loving them when they're not at their best or when they're at their worst. That takes effort sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's easy to
Um,
love you 6 days a week, but when on that seventh day you like lose your mind and you're being mean to everybody, or I mean, do I really love you that day?
right.
It's questionable. It can be.
Love your enemies. I'll show you how I love my enemies. I'm running. I don't want nothing to do with them. Keep your enemies closer. Blah blah blah. I hear all that garbage. No, I don't want them. I kept my family close for what 42 years or somewhere in there. You know what finally broke me? Kissing their asses, trying to always please them, do what they wanted, and they never stopped attacking me. As whenever my daughter's going through a divorce, and my dad said the reason they was helping the other side of the family was because um, my grandson didn't need to be around me. I thought, you sorry son of a bitch. That's what you told me in front of my lawyer when I was getting my divorce. You told me to turn my kids over to the state. He said that, and my lawyer was the DA, also a friend of mine, and he's says don't do that because then your husband gets the children without even a fight. So when my dad said that about my grandson, I was like, fuck you. I told my daughter, no more. I said, you tell
Good.
this person this, and I'll tell this person that. And so we made up bullshit because we wanted to know where the rat was. Well,
Right.
after we got done, we figured it wasn't just one. They were all party. Sisters, my dad, his wife, all involved in trying to have my daughter to where she would lose her son. Don't piss me off. Don't stop on my parade because I will make sure that you don't get to enjoy it. And if you do, you get to watch me win. That's why I
So
say,
you even find people conspiring against you in a family unit like that. They get
oh
together behind
yeah,
your
just
back and they have a big plan to take you down and you're
mhm.
fighting it all alone,
Yes,
you
I
know?
fought. I fought it alone. I fought with my daughter. I watched her spiraling from, you know, and not realizing that her communicating with different people in the family. And so, like, a couple of my sisters were using their home addresses, their email addresses. Uh, they were going behind our back if we talk. I'm on disability, so I don't got a lot of money, but I asked my dad if I could borrow some from him and was willing to pay him back, right? I'm trying to get some help. And turns out our help came from actually her ex's uncle because of the drug abuse on that, you know, of his son, of his nephew. So they were actually helping us and whatnot. And he was like, he's not capable of taking care of him, and he really liked my daughter from when they were together and whatnot. And so he knew her and knew she would take care of him, and his dad most likely wouldn't. So that was a surprise, but he did help. And I'm having to go drive 4.5, 5 hours every time his lawyer wanted us in court, sometimes 3 times a week. So we just stay at the campgrounds, the uh, one up there in King County at the KOA campground. I couldn't afford motels, so we just took a tent. I am
Sure.
crafty. I can make things happen when we need it to. I could have just stayed out in the woods, but we needed a place to shower and be able to go to court and what have you and look presentable, right? So it was perfect, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
bathrooms, showers, what we needed right there. And my family, I'm like, no more, no more. Cut them all off. I don't talk to them. I don't answer no phone calls from them. I don't accept mail from them. I was done, finished. So they
It's
do try
sad, but
to.
sometimes
They
we have to
they
isolate,
stay in.
especially
No,
as empaths. We have to
hey,
break away from some of that negative energy.
hey, they stay involved. They stay in touch with my kids. They think that through my children they can learn things about me and blah blah blah. And they've even. I have a sister that lives close by, and one of my friends, she found out this lady was a friend of mine. So she started, acting like she's so caring about me, really concerned about me, fishing for information, this concerned sister. She hasn't heard from me. I must be mentally ill or sick or whatever. She just really cared about me. And so every time I'd see my friend, she'd go, "Oh, your sister, I ran into her at the store." I'm like, "Look, I want nothing to do with them. They're out of my life. Do not be a go between." I said, "Or that'll cost you." Well, guess what? The last time I spoke to her, "Oh, your sister." And I said, "You know what? I'm done with this conversation. Don't ever call me back." And I hung up and I never talked to her again.
Yeah,
I have, when
self-preservation.
I don't do it out of hate. I do it out of pissed offness, but not because I hate them. You
Yeah,
didn't
but it's
fucking listen.
ultimately self-preservation, like to
It's
keep your own mental health and feel okay about yourself or whatever. You have to get away from that filth, man. Like
if
hanging with the
you want to show
trash.
me your if you want to show me your loyalty to me, if you want to show me respect, honor my wishes. That's what I do for everybody else. That's what I
Yeah,
expect of you. If I tell you something in confidence and you go around and tell everybody else and it comes back to me, then F you, I don't need you. If that's
yep,
if you don't want what you tell me in confidence told, then don't tell what I tell you in confidence told. It's just respect, right?
it is
So that
respect.
what we
Right.
see, what we're seeing is it's okay, it's good for you, but not for me. And that's what everybody's saying. That's why I'm sick and tired of the pointing the fingers. Oh, the government, the politicians. So what? ICE. You know, I'm sorry, but I stand with the Panthers. Did you see the video on what the Black Panther dude said? I stand side by side with the man because I agree with them.
Yeah,
If they're going to come at us with guns, we need to have bigger guns.
that's it.
You don't get to boss us around. He's right. He's 100% right. I don't care what
You
color he
know,
is.
from a military tactics or guerrilla warfare point of view, and even a morals high ground, you don't have to kill these people,
No,
but you can stop them. For instance, like just because you take up arms doesn't mean that you have to shoot somebody, and if you do, it doesn't mean you have to shoot to kill. But you could certainly take out all four tires on, say, well, I won't even say put on a
every cop.
vehicle and completely stop it. What are they going to do? Stand around and change four tires, call for AAA and wait, or you know what I mean? Like you can just
No.
make their life so unfucking comfortable.
Here's something that every cop, as young as I can remember, one thing every cop I know has ever said to me, including the sheriff's department when we first moved out, the sheriff came out to our house because he got told that somebody moved into the old house out on such and such a road, and it was the sheriff himself came out to make sure we had, protection. He didn't care, shotgun, handgun, uh, rifle, whatever, but we needed to have protection because it could take anywhere to an hour for them to get out there and even longer where we were living. And said, I said, "I got a pack of dogs. Ain't nobody coming and bothering me," right? How's my dogs? They're
Yeah,
the first warning. Nobody messes with dogs for the most part when you got a pack of them. And I had 6 of them at the
right.
time. So, but he said, no, you need to have protection being way out here because seriously, we can't get here. It's going to be, for the most part, their average time out in that area was 45 minutes to over an hour to get there in our county.
Sure.
We weren't in town. And then he backed that up with, he said, dead men don't talk. So if they come in your home or anything like that, make sure they're done for.
Yep.
And that's putting it, that's putting it mildly for listeners with small ears. Now, that's every, that's every cop I've ever known. Dead men don't talk. I know somebody that was protecting their home in Tennessee. He had to pay the guy's medical bills. He didn't get arrested, didn't go to prison, didn't go to jail or anything, but he had to pay the dumbasses that broke in his house medical bills because he heard them for breaking in.
That's so
Well,
ridiculous.
dead men don't pay bills. Dead men don't talk. And every cop will tell you this.
Yep. Sure enough.
So, I mean, maybe I sound harsh in some ways. And sometimes I really know I am harsh and I really mean to be. Because I can't just candy coat it all the time and kiss butt and go, oh, you poor little marshmallow.
Right.
If I can deal with it, you can deal with it. I'm a girl. You're a boy. I mean, people get upset because sometimes I'm so passionate about things. But I can't help it.
We
I
have
want
to
people
realize,
to be
Jamie,
safe.
most people, really, honestly, most people. So when I say most people, that's like over 90% in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
They don't realize that we're in a war, so they won't choose a side and they won't stand for anything because for them it's more comfortable to think that everything is okay or it will be or somebody else is going to fix it.
Yeah. Well, if you won't stand up and do anything, then why should I? If you
True
won't
that.
fix yourself, fix your thoughts, start rethinking, go, wait a minute, because I've done it. Like I say, I've been sucked into the manipulations, the bullcrap. But then I'm like, well, wait a minute. Now I know. Now I know for a fact, with no doubts in my head or whatever, they're going to do whatever they want to do. And it doesn't matter what's written or not. I don't care how many bazillion letters and symbols and words you use. They don't give a damn. So why should I? You don't have a boss. Don't come over here. And I have I can be very derogatory too. You treat me like a slave, I use that other slave word and tell you off. Because you ain't paying me. You ain't my boss. I've told that to judges. I've told that to cops. We had this one cop, and I have to say I really loved him because I loved his name more than anything. And when I say I loved him, I mean my heart was really happy because his last name was Killinger, right? He was our local back in the 80s. He was our local uh, arresting officer. He served warrants and arrested people that had warrants. He did it all by himself. He didn't need to call up all his buddies and go, hey, I need 15 or 20 of you to back me up on this job. He just go take the warrant and do what needed done, right? He's really good at his job. Well, one day he pulled me over. No license, no insurance, blah, 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 right? I'm just cruising around. There's people all around me because it's in the park. Everybody cruises at night, back in the days when we could cruise the streets. And then we have we had like putt golf, and we had RJ's, which was a pool hall. And then everybody, could just cruise the streets and park up and down, in the park and whatnot. Well, everybody watched me get pulled over. I was drunk as a skunk. I'd had a fifth of 151. Was on my second bottle. I slid it under the seat. I got pulled when I got pulled over. I'm not saying I was doing right, okay? I don't do that kind of thing anymore, and I didn't after another incident happened. But anyways, so Killinger pulls me over, wants my license. I don't have one. He goes, I need to see your license. I go, hell, I don't have a driver's license. I'm just out here driving. This is legal as hell. And so he asked me, what's in your drink? And I said, Coke, because that's what was in my glass. I never mixed the crap. I straight shot, right? I told him
Yeah.
the damn truth. I told him Coke. So he takes it and he asked me if he could smell it. And I said, sure. And I handed it to him. Never mind that I have children sleeping in the back seat, my kids. I have two of my friends in the front seat. So then he asked if anybody else had a driver's license. My friend, he tells him, yeah, I got one. And then he looks at his ID and goes, oh, you ain't even supposed to be in town. You're not even supposed to be in the county or whatever. And he goes, well, I just came back to get some of my things, blah, blah, blah. I moved to Florida. He was a brat. Not a bad guy, just a brat. But anyways, so my girlfriend, she was with us. She didn't have any ID either. So he lets him drive and I take over his seat, right? So we go over and I'm like, well, damn, just pull into RJ's. We'll just hang out at the pool hall for a while, This is ridiculous. And I'm drunk.
Yeah.
We go in and everyone's like, ah, ha, ha, you got a ticket, blah, blah, blah. And I go, no, I did not. I didn't get no damn ticket. Jeez Louise, what's wrong with y'all? And they're like, Dillinger don't pull anybody over without giving them a ticket. And they're just razzing me. You got a ticket. Stop lying. Blah, blah, blah. I said, I didn't get any damn tickets. And then my friend Tim that walked in afterwards, he comes in and everything. They're going, she got a ticket, didn't she? And he goes, no, he said she didn't. He goes, don't ask me. She didn't get a damn ticket. He goes, but I can't stay here long because they know I'm back in town and so I'm going to have to get the hell out of town. I'm only here for a short time till my truck gets out of the shop. But the thing is okay. Here's the thing. I didn't have a driver's license, didn't have insurance, didn't have any kind of contracts with the damn state, local, county, nothing. He knew that.
That's right.
But one thing he didn't know was I was drinking. And now here's why I quit drinking and driving and doing stupid shit like kids do. I was probably 22. And I went over to a friend of my house one evening and found out that her coworker, little boy, I'd met her like once or twice. And her little boy was 4 and he was killed that a few nights earlier in a accident. Driver was only doing 35 miles an hour, but they were pulling out of the mall at one of the lights, and that car, the driver was drunk, hit them at 35 miles an hour. A little boy died, burned up in that car because the seat belts jammed up, and they couldn't get him out. Mom and Dad ended up with second, third degree burns. Cops pulled him off the car. Nobody had a knife to cut the kid out. So, yeah.
Man.
That changed my entire world in going out, drinking, driving around with my kids, whatnot, and my whole lifestyle and how I governed myself. Because the thing that always bothered me before I ever started driving was I never wanted to hurt a kid, and you hear those stories, of a little kid running out in the street and getting run over. Well, I never wanted to be one of those kind of people because I remember those when I was growing up. Okay, so yeah. I didn't want to be one of those people to harm a child. So I'm very careful going through neighborhoods, around schools, around parking lots in towns. Now, I raced all the time illegally. I wasn't on a racetrack. I mean, I love Dale Earnhardt. He was my hero, right? He was crazy, and I didn't find out later on until I was told he was called the Intimidator. But I just really like the fact that he just seemed to have no fear, and I didn't. I didn't race outside town, out where it was probably safer. I liked racing right straight through downtown at night. There's
Yeah.
red lights, there's stoplights, there's an S curve, there's railroad tracks to jump. There was fun, fun stuff.
Right. That was our video
So,
games back then.
yeah, living video games, right? I was, but anyways, um, always was really cautious. I was always late at night. I mean, in that respect. So I knew there wasn't a lot of traffic or whatever. Was it risky? Yeah. I always I would always roll out for the most part, make sure the cops was at the coffee shop. And so I do my homework, and then I come back in town. Somebody still be pestering me about race, and I go, fine. Once I done my check-in first, I go, no, I'm not. I'm not. You'll lose. You'll lose. They lost because when we get to the S curve, they couldn't handle that corner. They always slow down. They screwed up every single time. I would just hit the brakes, just touch them just enough to where I could um, go into that corner, those curves, and just give it a little more gas so the car swings when you can feel that G-force, and it takes you
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
And then the car goes the other way, and then you go fly up over, and your tires leave the pavement, and you're over the railroad tracks. Oh yeah. I could still feel that, and I mean, I haven't done it in years, but life, we have life in us. We know things. We feel things. We don't need somebody telling us what we're doing is right or what we're doing is wrong. We feel it. We know it. When you do something bad, you get this sick feeling either in your throat or your heart area or in the pit of your stomach.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Dreamy, like we're talking about people that are empathic and tuned into all of that and realizing that on those levels or whatever. But I think your average person does need all those guidelines and somebody else making the decisions and the threats and like all of it, dude. They're It's easy when you're gifted or you know what I mean, to think that everybody thinks that way or has the same abilities or whatever. I don't think that we're all equal here for some
You
reason.
don't. Why do you not think all have that ability to? When we're children, we know. Think about it. When you're a
Yeah.
child and you knew you was in trouble, how did you know you was in trouble? Think
You
about
just
that.
feel it. Yeah.
That's right. You knew what you just did. You would probably, if your parents find out, you'd be in trouble, even if you'd never been in trouble for that before. You knew.
Yeah.
I think as we grow, a little kid will say, "You're not the boss of me," right? But then as we grow older, then we're going, "Oh, the government's the boss of me." What the freaking hell? Did you forget along the way?
It's like beating out of you. That's the whole MK Ultra thing, man. Break the spirit,
Yeah,
fracture your
that is
mind.
true. You're right. Because I was told, when I was told my stubbornness was my best quality, I was also told that they were trying to break me.
Yeah, I've even had teachers like when I took driver's training, I had switched teachers and like one teacher left a note for the next teacher, so I jump in this vehicle. A beautiful Saturday morning is like one of my final like drive tests to get my license or whatever, and I remember everything about it, man. Mr. Barrymore, he looked me in the eye and he says, "So and so, your previous instructor said you'd be easy to teach if you didn't already know everything." How do you feel about that? I said, well, he may not be used to teaching people who are able to think for themselves. And yeah, I am bringing a lot of skills to the table. I've towed trailers and I've been driving, cars the size of Cadillac since I was 14 years old. So like I'm ready for this. It doesn't mean that I'm cocky or whatever, but you judge. How about that? How about I drive and you make the decision? How about we do it that way? He says, yeah, that's fair enough. He shook my hand and we went and he signed off and everything was good.
Well, when I got my first driver's license after the 11 years of driving, I didn't get my driver's license because I passed all the rules. You want to know why I got my driver's license? Because the guy that did the driving part of the test told me was because I was a cautious driver. Now, here's the thing. We came up, there's an intersection on that part of the driving test, and nobody has a stop sign, nobody has a yield sign, and it's like a four-corner kind of thing. And I see this car coming, and I'm going through, and I don't have a stop sign, so I was going to go right through, but I see this car coming, and it don't look like it's stopping, and somebody's got to stop. So I fling my arm out, because I have children, okay? I'm 27 years old. I got my children, so I'm used to saving their asses when I got to slam on the brakes. I didn't lock my kids in car seats. So I fling my arm out, and I slam on the brake, and I stop so that other car can go through the intersection and nobody hits each other, right? And then I go, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. He doesn't say a word to me, right? He just kind of looked at me, straight face. And I'm telling him, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. So they need to put stop signs and stuff up here. He didn't say anything. But when we get back, I'd actually failed to stop at a stop sign that was so far back at an intersection that you couldn't see around the corner, and then there's bushes and crap you can't see past. So I just go all the way up to where I can see before I stop, right? Well, the stop signs, like past my back bumper. But that's done on purpose, I'm sure. Because you're supposed to stop at the stop sign, then creep forward to see, I guess. And then, I forget a couple other things he said I didn't do. Anyways, but he said he was going to pass me because I was a very cautious driver.
Yep.
I let other people go before me. I didn't expect them to stop. Well, hell, I didn't want to get ran over. But yes, we have minds. We can think. I don't think anyone's smarter than me. I don't think they're dumber than me. Do they choose to be dumber or smarter? Yeah. I don't think I need anyone's permission to live on Earth, to live in their world. Yeah, I need to follow all their bouncy, stupid rules if I want to volunteer to join their club, but I don't want that. It's a choice.
Yeah,
I know this. And one of the things judges really, I know that one judge, he may sounded and seemed like in the courtroom, because there's all those people there, it's a driving courtroom, so he's a magistrate, not an actual judge. But even still, he's there, and so he's threatening me, oh, well, if you don't pay the fine, I'll take your license. And I'm like, I don't give a damn. I'll give it to you here. And I reach for my purse, and I'm like, gonna get my driver's license out and hand it to him. I said, it don't do a damn thing for me. It doesn't put gas in my car. It doesn't fix it. It doesn't drive so I can sleep. It's worthless. It's just a piece of plastic, And then he threatens me with, raising the fine because he lowered it, because I had no license, no registration, blah, blah, blah. Well, I couldn't get the title straightened out, and the lady wouldn't take care of it, and I wasn't going to just send back the title for her to sign, so I was asking for, stuff, and I have all this folder from the state of Texas, showing that they'd even sent letters, and it had not gotten answered. And so I've got my own documentation plus the state documentation. And this judge wants to just find me with a guilty with an explanation, right? That's what I checked on the stupid ticket. And then he's going to tell me he's going to pay me. I said, well, you know what? I did everything I could. And I said, and the one thing that you can't do is hold it against me whenever I did everything known to God and couldn't get it done. And that is a law. Also, in a courtroom, a judge can threaten you 3 times. After that, he can't threaten you anymore. Can't hold it against you. I knew that too because I know other judges see personally, and they give you these little tidbits. So when they're threatening you, well, we'll put you in jail, or we'll make, instead of giving you the reduced fine, we'll just make it the full amount. Just tell them I'm not paying for it. And no, you're not putting me in jail. You can do whatever you want. You could kill me, but I'm not going to agree to any of this. I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to pay you anything. I don't owe you anything. You can stand up to them. Do you know what? You'll gain more respect from them than you will if you go, okay, judge, and pay the money. They actually
Absolutely right.
appreciate it. They appreciate it. You'll get more respect when you stand your ground than if you just bend and bow and act like a weeping willow.
Well,
You ever
Dreamy, I
see?
got a couple things I need to do. I want to thank you for having me on. I see you so rarely anymore. I saw that you were on, and I'd love to come up with you. So I look forward
Oh,
to doing this
yeah.
again soon.
Well, I do hope more people get to see this. I hope they understand where I'm coming from. I hope they look at their own life and see where they may make their changes and stop complying, be non compliant. I think it's in the 10th Amendment. Yeah, it was a 10th Amendment channel. And I had never heard of the Stamp Act. Well, I had probably had heard of it been in passing, but I never actually paid attention. And the reason that that was nullified was because nobody would comply. All these bullshit rules and regulations are because people are complying.
Yep.
So it's all up to us. But I think I'm going to get off here. We've been here, what, a couple of hours, something like that. And
Yeah.
so
Almost 3. Yeah. 2 hours and 52 minutes.
there's 3 people watching. But I really want people to be passionate about their life, love themselves, really truly love yourself, to not participate in having other people boss you around like you're dumber than they are. You're just as smart, just as precious, just as beautiful as somebody else. You're as good as the
Amen.
queen. You're as good as the devil. I'm just saying.
Yeah. That's a
But you
fact.
have a good
I'm with
evening.
you all the
Thank
way.
you so much for coming up here and jabbering with me.
Bless you,
I'll do
Dreamy.
this more. I'll do this more. I've kind of been slacking, but I will do this more. I think we need to have these conversations.
Sure.
So you'll
Always
see me
happy to
more.
come on with you. I'll watch for you.
Alrighty. Thanks. You have a great night.
Bless you. See you soon. Be well.
You too. All right, everyone. If you're in the chat room, we're going to have a close this evening. Thank you for joining. I'm really grateful for each and every one of you for being here, hanging out with me. And always, you're welcome to hit the link to come up on StreamYard. Share your stories. That's all we can do is share our experience, share our stories, and lift each other up. We're all good. See you later. Good night, Shy, if you're still around, and everybody else that's here. Thank you so much for listening in. Share this with other people you think may need a little bit of upliftment. Let them know they're important. I don't give a damn what color their skin is, what color their church is, if they go to church, if they don't, if they have a house or if they don't. I don't care. Care only one thing, how you treat me, how we treat each other. Give when you can. You can only wear one coat. That means give your other one away if you don't need it and you see someone that can use it. Those are the kind of ways we help each other. Love each other by giving. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Have a great night, and we'll catch you all later.